A man walks along the streets on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, heading toward the intersection of Broad Street and Wall Street. Holding his hand and keeping pace is his 9-year-old grandson. Young Daniel Frischberg is about to get a first-hand look at the New York Stock Exchange. He doesn't realize it yet, but his destiny is to be a major player in the world of finance. What he's learned over nearly 50 years, he'll teach you today, and it's all free of charge. There's a billionaire locked inside you. The key to freedom is information, the kind of information you find here on the MoneyMan Report. Now, here's the MoneyMan. Here's Dan Frischberg.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the MoneyMan Report. And here I am with, if possible, the beautiful Alicia, looking even more beautiful than usual. So this is...
I tell you. I don't know. Continue. Thank you.
One of the great opportunities of our lives we're living through. And I hope you're having the courage to understand it and take advantage of it. Everybody understands it, but a lot of people aren't doing anything about it.
Why not?
Lack of confidence, lack of belief in themselves, lack of belief that what's going on here can actually work.
Or permission to be rich.
Yeah, but I mean, think about this. Here they are. This is what they think of you in Washington. Alicia was asking me before, when is it important for them to understand what's going on in the government and all that? Here's what they think. They're fighting about, should they send you $2,000, $1,400? Should they give you a tax break of $1,000? Now just think about this. That's what they think of you, right? That's keep you quiet for $1,000. Joe Biden's net worth is now like $4 million. Do you understand that he has done nothing but work for the government? And a few years ago, he was living in his mother's house and had zero money. Tell me, how did he get $4 million? I can tell you right now, he did not get it by taking kickbacks, $4 million. That's not what happened. What happened was somebody that knows how to invest money invested money for him. He owned companies and probably in a blind trust so that he wouldn't get caught giving them any special privileges, but he just made money. Now ask yourself this. Barb, what's the lady's name in California? Is it Barbara Boxer?
Boxer.
Who's the not Pelosi, but the other one, the Congresswoman. All right.
It's in your notes.
Well, so her net worth is $90 million. And it was only $14 million about 5 or 10 years ago. Trust me, she did not take $90 million worth of bribes and illegal money. What she got was they invested the money. They had the confidence, and they or somebody that knew what they were doing, probably somebody else, invested that money, did it exactly. Feinstein, yes. They did it exactly the way all rich people did it. They used a lot of leverage. They looked at companies they knew were going to be worth more money in the future, and they bought long-term, multi-year options. They're not traders. They didn't trade in and out. They just bought long-term positions in companies they knew were going to be worth money, and that's how they get to $90 million, $4 million, $20 million. All of these people that are buying you off and trying to satisfy you because they think you deserve $1,000 or $2,000, help you pay your electric bill. Because why? Because they don't think of you as the elite, because you're the dumb people that keep electing them to ride around in limousines and go to the club and be rich. Do you have the courage to be rich? one of the things that I always used to tell, I had traders, and they were traders not because they were going in and out, because they were doing transactions. We had hundreds of millions of dollars to invest, and we needed them to have confidence. Here's a guy that used to work at Fidelity or Charles Schwab or something, was making 60,000 a year. Now he's working for us, and he's got to do these multi-million-dollar transactions. And did he feel comfortable doing that? Did he feel like he was at the right rank to do that? Did he feel that he was a general who could be making multi-million-dollar deals? Because in order to do it right, you got to feel that way, and you have to feel that way too. So one of the here's an exercise for you to do starting now, starting when we get off the air here, and you do this every afternoon and every evening for a while. You imagine yourself walking into a room full of people that are of the same rank as you, right? Executives, engineers, people like you. You're walking into a room full of them, and as you walk in, they stand up in respect. They stand up. Why? Because you're a general, because you're of a higher class, because you're the senator, because you're the president. Think of yourself as that kind of a high rank. And you know what? Do it while you're breathing deeply, and do it while you're breathing normally, and do it repeatedly, and get to feel like you are there. So that give yourself permission to make the kind of money that you can make, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. What's going on now? You know, and I know that we are going to cure COVID now or in the next 6 months. People in Texas already believe it. People in California will believe it, but everybody is going to be free of COVID in 6 months, 3 months, a year. They've already got 70 million people or 100 million people that they have given this injection to. They don't even have to they're going to get the second injection. That's wonderful. But do you understand that once they've had the first injection, no one who's had the first injection, they may get COVID, but they don't end up in the hospital. It goes away. It's no big deal already, right? And almost nobody except very old, sick people have been having problems from it anyway. They made it into a gigantic deal because they love being so important in your life. They love being able to tell you what to do. It is going to be over in a few months, or in 6 months, or in a year. Who cares? What's the difference? You've been a middle-class person for 57 years. Right? So what's the difference if it takes 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years for you to move into a whole new class and get rich? So here's the story they're telling on television today. And I just heard it in a couple of different places, and then I read it on the internet. So what they're trying to do is they're explaining today's price for stocks and bonds by today's events. So soft demand for bonds. The bond interest rate is going up. When the stock market went down a lot last Thursday and Friday, they explained that by the fact that people are worried about inflation, right? So now Monday, the stock market goes up a couple of percent. And it's the same tree, the same people, the same inflation. Has anything changed about the fact that prices are going to go up as the economy gets stronger, right? The economy gets stronger, people start buying things, there's more demand, more activity, stocks go up, interest rates are going to go up. There is going to be people who are selling stuff that everybody wants are going to have pricing power, right? If you're selling stuff that everybody wants, what do? You raise the price a little bit, right? So the prices are going to go up. They don't know the difference. That's not real inflation. That's inflation caused by the fact that there's good demand, the economy's doing well, and prices go up. But the economists don't know the difference between that and inflation, which is a monetary phenomenon because there's too much cash running around, right? The fact is you are going to have inflation because there's too much cash out there over the next couple of years, but you're not feeling any of that today. That doesn't matter. The opportunity you have is the most fabulous opportunity you've ever seen or heard of. COVID gets better. There is an Americanization happening all over the world. People that didn't even have electricity want to live like Americans. They're getting electricity, they're getting internet, they're getting Hulu, they're getting Netflix. They want to live like you. They're going to live like you. And this is happening all over the world. The process of them getting to live like you means they buy stuff that are invented here in America, and we can own the company that they're buying it from. And because there's this once in a lifetime opportunity, the stocks of that company are going to go up a lot over the next 6 months or a year. Also, the prices that these companies are charging is going to go up because they're strong, because there's demand, and they can raise their prices. And also, there's this digital transformation where everybody in America is getting databases. Every company in America is doing all their customer service digitally. There's the Internet of Things, all these connected devices and faster internet and all of this stuff. And the companies that invented all that stuff, those companies are us. They're our companies. So I'm looking at what do you think is going on with, I'm looking at Twilio. It's a company that we've talked about here forever. So who do you think are the companies that have the platform of Hulu? Uber, right? Is Uber's business going to go down? Are more people around the world going to use Uber or fewer? Tell me, is this a maybe?
More.
Okay. How about Airbnb? Are more people signing up for Airbnb or fewer people?
More.
And Airbnb uses Twilio so that they can have this multidisciplinary stuff, this internet stuff. How about Instacart? You know what that is? How about Reddit? All these idiots that are faxing each other and that are texting each other.
They no longer have fax.
No, they're texting each other. Do you know that Reddit uses Twilio? Guess who owns Twilio? Me. And guess who else owns Twilio? All the people that listen to us and subscribe and join up and take their lessons about Twilio. You want to learn about it? Go to themoneyman.com. There is a webinar on there. No, it's not a webinar on there. It is a link that will open up. It's a chat box. Opens up. Alicia will get your message. You tell her your email, who you are. You tell her you listen to this radio program or by a podcast, and you want to take that free webinar about how you can make thousands of dollars by knowing what you're doing, right? Tell her you want to see that, and you will get to watch that webinar absolutely free because you're a listener to this radio program. Right now, I've got to stop for a break. We'll be right back. Please stick around. This is the MoneyMan Report, and I'm Dan Frischberg. She's the beautiful Alicia. The website is themoneyman.com.
Each week in his live video market and economy update offered to his inner circle, Dan Frischberg delivers the in-depth professional version of his famous market x-ray report, live and interactive. Now that means you get to ask all the questions you want. And if you can't make the live meeting, you can watch the report on demand. Then email your questions in and Dan will email the answers back or include them in the next live report. Week in and week out, Dan brings you the ideas and specific stock picks from his friends, the people you see on TV and read about in the papers. You'll see what they're buying, how they're hedging, and when they're taking money off the table. At last, you'll get to see how the insiders negotiate the institutional macro bonds that billionaires on Wall Street rely on, the ones almost everyone else never even heard of. When you become an Inner Circle member, Dan will share with you his lifetime of experience and guide you to the best teachers, the best stock pickers, the best option strategists. And you'll be invited to exclusive working vacations in beautiful locations for the Inner Circle only, where you'll rub elbows with some of the most famous investors on Wall Street. So, how do you value the lifetime of skill and experience of a top investor on a mission to share it all with you and help you become one of the few winners? If you've been listening to Dan for a few years, he's likely already made you tons of money, or even more important, saved you from losing a fortune. Now, there are limits to the capacity of the online video sessions, but right now, for a limited time, Dan's offering you the position of charter subscriber, get this, for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day. For all the info or to subscribe, just simply click on themoneyman.com. Themoneyman.com.
You're tuned in to the MoneyMan Report with your host, TV and radio money man, Dan Frischberg. For more information about everything we're talking about, go to themoneyman.com right now. That's themoneyman.com.
Welcome back. This is the MoneyMan Report. So I have to bring this up. I have to ask you this. They're telling you that the stock market went down on Thursday and Friday because people are worried about inflation. So when the stock market goes up on Monday, does that mean they're not worried about inflation anymore? Or what is it? Ask yourself this. How long have you been listening to that crap? Now, today the market is going down because of worry about inflation. That's what they said on Thursday, right? How do you explain the big move up on Sunday night and prices moving up on Monday morning? They're not worried about inflation anymore. So why is Twilio beginning to run up again? Why is that stock going up? Is it because they love inflation or because they hate inflation? Right? CrowdStrike, that's the company I'm talking about. CrowdStrike they catch people they've got a big network of companies. They catch people doing, what do they call that when you break into somebody's internet? Hacking. They've got a big network. When they catch somebody hacking, they solve it by artificial intelligence, and then all their subscriber companies all get the same message, and they're all immune to that hacker because they all get it through artificial intelligence at the same time. So I have to break it to you. None of this is about inflation at all. Someday inflation is going to matter. The people who are using Twilio don't care about inflation. The people who are using CrowdStrike, they don't care about inflation. They're companies, they're just solving their problems. Inflation isn't going to matter for at least a year or two. Now, certainly, our members who know how to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime deal. Why is it once in a lifetime? Because we're getting over COVID. The world is going to rebuild. People all over the world are getting all these digital functions that you take for granted. We can invest in the companies that bring that to them. I've been using Twilio today as an example because we've been talking about it for 3 years. Do you know that if you bought that long-term option on Twilio 1 year ago, I've got this down right here. 1 year ago, you made 6,499% on your money. 6,400% on your money. So you want to know how did Dianne Feinstein get to have $99 million? She didn't get it by taking $99 million worth of bribes, trust me. She got somebody that knows how to invest, and they turned $14 million into $99 million, and you can turn $10,000 into $640,000 this year if you would have had the courage to put $10,000 into Twilio long-term options. You know that a year ago, in February of 2020, the stock was at 112. Twilio we're talking about. I was telling you about that right here on the radio. And if you were taking lessons from me, I was showing you that stock. The stock was at 112. We bought long-term options on Twilio, 500-day, like almost 2 years, for $2.93. Instead of paying $112 a share, we paid $2.93 a share. So we owned 40 times as many shares, right? So now on January of 2021, the stock was now at $388, Twilio. Why? Because of all the companies that use it. Why? Because Lyft uses it and Reddit is built on it. Accenture, you know who Accenture is? That's the CPA firm, one of the big accounting firms. They do consulting with businesses. If you own stock in Accenture and you own that option, you made tons of, you didn't have to own Accenture. You own Twilio. Accenture was paying Twilio. eBay was paying Twilio.
Uber.
Yeah, Slack. So tell me, are less people or more people going to be using Slack over the next 2 years?
More.
Are more people or fewer people going to be using eBay? And is eBay going to make more money or less money over the next few years?
More money and Airbnb.
And they're going to be paying more money to Twilio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, even though you made 65 times your money, 6,500%, it's not over. It's going to happen again over the next couple of years. Now, the question is, do you have the courage to take your money and to buy long-term options? See, I don't think you should have that, just because I don't want you to run out and buy Twilio or to run out and buy options on Twilio. I want you to know what you're doing. I'm telling you a place to start reading. That's what you would have made if you would have owned Twilio in our stock accumulation plan. It's not our plan, by the way. It's using long-term stock options to own a lot of Twilio. Now, I didn't invent doing this. What we did is realize, here's what we did. We had the courage and the brains to realize that this is a one-time opportunity, and that even while everybody was worried about COVID, that it was going to go away, and all the shutting down that they were doing meant that everybody's going to wake up and be buying more and growing more, and what a relief it's going to be. The convergence of opportunity. Now, you needed the cojones to trust your brain and do it. That's where you are right now. Do you have the courage to do it? Don't run out and buy it, because I'm telling you, go read about it. Learn about everything you can learn about that company. That's what you get paid for knowing what you're doing and then having the cojones to act on it. So a $10,000 position in Twilio last year, a year ago, made you $650,000. A year ago Friday, the stock was at 123. It was clearly worth a lot more, so we bought options on it. I don't know if Dianne Feinstein did or not, but I know she did something like that, because how do you think you go from $14 million to $99 million? She had to make $85 million. She didn't make it by graft, folks. She made it by investing money in this economy. Meanwhile, she thinks $2,000 is good enough for you because you're stupid, because you can't think. But for her, she made, what, $85 million in a couple of years. Now, you can do the same thing. And my question is, do you have the courage to do that? And since you just read everything there is to read about that company and its customers, that's what I'm telling you to do. Go read everything there is to read. Why does Slack, the communication software, depend on Twilio? Why does Accenture, the big time CPA consulting firm, if they could do it cheaper, wouldn't they do it with somebody else? What about eBay? So don't buy that position in Twilio because you heard about it on this show. Read about it because you heard it here. And then when you understand the company and you know what you're doing, you can take a long-term multi-year position with high leverage. To learn how to do that, do you know how to do it? If you don't know how to do it, I can give you a course on how to do it. And to learn about that, everything you want to know about that course, I have a free webinar. It's free. If you are listening to this program, go to themoneyman.com. The chat box opens up, themoneyman.com, the same website we've always had. A chat box opens up, put in your email address, your phone number, tell Alicia who you are. You will get to watch that webinar for absolutely free.
Not just your money man, the money man.
Themoneyman.com. And you're not going to need a credit card. You're not going to have to sign up for any other stuff. There's not going to be a tripwire. There's not going to be anything. You're going to watch a webinar that shows you and gives you examples of how people make money and exactly what my system is and how you're going to learn it. And then you're going to see messages from a bunch of people who already took the classes. They already did it. They don't work with me, they don't work for me, but they've changed their lives because they're making big money. And you can change your life because you're going to make big money too. So don't believe, I got to ask you, you're watching all that junk on CNBC, you're watching all that stuff, you're reading all that stuff. How much money are you making by doing that? What is it doing for your life? So the story is they try to explain today's prices for stocks and bonds by today's events. A perfect example. They say there's soft demand for bonds, and that means people don't want to buy them. So the price is going lower on the bonds. It means interest rates are going higher. And is the Fed's support for the economy causing inflation? So they're confused because they don't get the timing. Eventually, in a recovering economy, rates are going to get normal, interest rates. Nobody wants to lend money for 10 years for 2% when they're doubling their money by investing in companies. So, of course, people aren't buying those stupid bonds. So we're having a recovery. Only an idiot would lend money for 2 or 3%. So this is about the future. Bonds are a bad deal. Because they're a bad deal, the price is going down. Nobody wants to buy them. The price going down means interest rates are going up. They say interest rates are going up because people are worried about inflation. Interest rates are not going up. It's because people know that they can make more money by buying companies who are able to raise their prices because everybody wants to buy them. Is this common sense? Do you get this?
Yep.
Is this easy to understand?
Yep.
So this is about the future. Bonds are a bad deal because digital companies, rebuilding companies, recovery companies are a good deal. They're worth owning. Why? Because of future sales, and their profits are going to go up, and people around the world are going to buy these things. So we're talking about Twilio, and Twilio is Uber's using Twilio, Airbnb. People around the world, a lot of them don't even have electricity. 5 years from now, they're going to be using Uber. They're going to be using Airbnb. They're going to be using Lyft, right? And as they do that, that's going to be millions and millions of more people who are receiving those things through the Twilio platform. And Twilio is getting paid more money and more money by Uber and by Airbnb and by Instacart and by Reddit. As they get more subscribers and more people they reach, they pay Twilio more money. And you know who owns Twilio? Me. You know who could own Twilio? You. Go to themoneyman.com, find out how to take these classes, find out about them, watch the webinar. You need it, you want it, do it. We'll be right back right after this.
You've heard it said right here. With enough leverage, you can multiply your investing strength and move mountains. So think about it. How'd you like to own companies like Roku or MasterCard or Raytheon and put down as little as 5 or 10% to unlock the treasure chest of unlimited upside gains? You can, all the while drastically reducing your risk, and you can do it with zero borrowing costs. You just need that leverage and a little know-how. So Dan Frischberg is going to allow you to pick his brain to better understand the concept of leverage. These are special online training sessions called the Pick Dan's Brain Option Service. You can use just a little bit of money to potentially make incredible returns. If you want to make real money, you owe it to yourself to take advantage of this once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. All you have to do to try it is to go online and register so you can see the results for yourself. The cost is next to nothing, and look what's waiting for you. Each week, Dan will discuss a few detailed trades, quality, actionable trades. You get detailed instructions on buying and selling specific put and call options. The Pick Dan's Brain Option Service shares specific underlying stocks, expiration dates, strike prices, and shows you how much money you could make instantly. It's Dan Frischberg's time-tested, proven money-making discipline that he's used for 50 years to make himself and a lot of other people rich. Lots of other benefits are waiting for you, too, if you just register at themoneyman.com. That's all one word, themoneyman.com, for the Pick Dan's Brain Option Service. This is about teaching you the knowledge and skills. It's your responsibility to apply these skills and knowledge to your specific situation. It's too much to detail here, but all the info is right there at themoneyman.com.
You're tuned in to the MoneyMan Report with your host, TV and radio money man, Dan Frischberg. For more information about everything we're talking about, go to themoneyman.com right now. That's themoneyman.com.
Welcome back. We're here with Louis Navalier. And Louis is an interesting case because he was actually hired to track many, many years ago. He was hired to track the S&P 500, and he wasn't able to do it because he kept beating it. And he wasn't really doing what they wanted. They wanted an S&P 500, but Louis kept beating the S&P 500. Louis, why did that happen? What was wrong? Or right? What was right?
Well, what fueled indexing was a law called ERISA passed in the mid-'70s. And the way the lawyers interpret ERISA, if we could match a benchmark, we don't have any liability. So the goal back then was to match the benchmark, but indexing hadn't taken off. So my job was to figure out how many stocks we needed to mirror the market. And I built what is called a tracking portfolio. And I needed 332 stocks, and I was a failure because my 332 stock portfolio kept beating the market. So, you know, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area and in the Berkeley side of the Bay, and, you know, where socialism runs amok, and they tell you that if you out-earn your neighbor, you're evil, so we all must index. Anyway, I learned I was lied to, and there are anomalies and inefficiencies in the market that I could capitalize on. So that led me to publishing, and I still publish all my research to this day. And we rank stocks on an A, B, C, D, and F basis. And the A's do better than the B's, which do better than the C's, and do better than the D's and F's. So we're kind of on a mission from God to just tell everybody that they teach in academia is full of crap. But with that said, markets are more manipulated now, as you hinted at earlier. You know, just barely 2 weeks ago, the 29 stocks in the Russell 2000, less than $1 a share, went up almost 80% in a week. The poster child was Hertz, which was filed for bankruptcy, went up 82% in a day. So things are being manipulated. I think, you know, you just look at all the IPOs. 75% of the IPOs on Wall Street lose money. But when you lose money, you got to go back to Wall Street for capital. So they start to kiss your butt. So a good example is NIO, which is this Chinese electric vehicle company, still losing money, but they're upgrading it because they want to sell them stuff. Another example is Nikola, the truck company in Arizona that was briefly worth more than Ford, that hasn't sold a truck yet. But, you know, it's worth more than Ford, and says they're going to destroy the F-150. And even though Ford already makes electric trucks and things. So when you're going to Wall Street to get money, they kiss your butt. And Tesla's also a good example, because I'm out in Reno where the Gigafactory is. And even though Tesla said they made money in the first quarter, they burned $895 million. So we don't know if that's inventory or aluminum door stampings, what the hell it was. But we do know that Tesla's going to lose money next in the second quarter because, you know, everything's shut down. You know, the sales in Europe and U.S. have collapsed, and China is also down sharply. So they're struggling. And now the Renault Zoe is the #1 electric vehicle in Europe. Volkswagen now makes more Volkswagen Group makes more electric vehicles, or sells more electric vehicles in Europe. They passed all these stimulus in France and Germany, and they set the stimulus right below the price of a Tesla, so the Teslas don't get any benefit. So, you know, but Wall Street will kiss Tesla's butt because they know they got to come to them for money. And I think the most egregious example was the Peloton IPO. You know, that the insider sold the day of the offering. Usually they have the courtesy to wait 4 months before they sell. So, you know, there's a lot of pump and dump going on in Wall Street because everything's controlled by algorithms now. People can overload it and manipulate it. And it's very sad. It's truly, truly sad.
You know, doing private deals, it used to be that they were bringing them to market relatively early, and the guys would get their money out of it. It would come in, and then it would grow. But now they don't really do it that way anymore. It's really kind of a sucker deal because the private investors come in and they take it all the way until they can build it up and do hype. And then the stock goes public at a very high price. And I guess you were referring to that, the original investors get out of it at that time because they're selling it for way more than it's worth. So the IPOs used to be a fabulous deal that you could get in on, and now it's really a sucker deal. Do you agree?
Correct. And the bigger the crowd, the lower the IQ. Crowds are not smart, okay? So these guys know that they're doing pump and dump, and it's unfortunate. Now, you asked about the pot stocks. The pot stocks are very simple to explain. The reason you see ads on the internet, you know, the pot millionaires are becoming pot billionaires, is they want your name. And when they grab your name and they sell your name to an ETF firm and you buy a pot ETF, you will be paying a 30 to 32% premium that day. So the biggest spreads out there are on theme ETFs, pot, blockchain, all these little themes, 5G. And some of these investments might be legit, but the pot ones have the biggest spreads. And I've written many articles on this. One was called "Don't Get Fleeced," but you know, I actually bicycle with a pot guy, and he's got 12.5 million cash in his 12.4 million cash in his house because he can't put in the bank fast enough. Because you know, it's a long story. So we always want to take care of his house in a hurricane because we can like float away on the cash. But anyway, I says, you know, you'd make more money if you were doing pot ETFs because it's 30 to 32% a day. Okay, you lose, and people don't know that, and people don't know how ETF spreads.
Explain what you're just talking about there. Let's do that one slower because that's very interesting.
All ETFs have spreads. You can go on a Morningstar, you key in the ETF symbol, and there's something called intraday intrinsic value. It's essentially a net asset value. But our friends at Bespoke have pointed out that SPY, which is S&P 500, QQQ, and the NASDAQ, and the Russell 2000, that during market hours, if you bought at the opening and you sold at the close, every single one of those ETFs lose money. I had my own ETF with Oppenheimer. I was shocked at the spreads. The ETFs are a spread game. That's why commissions are zero. They know a lot of the orders are coming on ETFs, and they're fleecing everybody under the surface. So what you should do before you buy an ETF, go on to Morningstar, key it in. I'm going to tell you, your spreads are going to be tighter in the morning, in the first 30 minutes. They're going to be tighter at the close. But during market hours, you can drive a truck through them. And during fast market conditions, they can fleece you. DVY is the iShares Dividend ETF. I think it's the fourth biggest ETF in the country. And I still remember one day in August of 2015, that dropped 34.9% in the first 90 minutes. At the end of the day, there was no spread. I mean, that spread dissipated. And Morningstar does
meaning in those do-it-yourself brokers, there's a bid and an ask, and there's a market maker, and he's really that's the manipulation Louis talking about. He's making up numbers.
Correct. Most of the market making today is done by Citadel, which are the machines on the exchange. But the brokers do have the right to make a market. So when spreads get wide, they may choose to participate in that. Now, if they just run the orders through Citadel, they get a rebate. They get a kickback. And the SEC just lost in the appellate court. The SEC chairman is leaving, Jay Clayton, and there's a new person that Trump just appointed, a gal. But that was his thing, is to get more transparency and about all the kickbacks on Wall Street. And he lost in the appellate court.
In other words, he was not allowed to put through the new SEC method of making markets.
They wanted more disclosure. The SEC is all about disclosure, and they just wanted more disclosure on who's getting what money. And the way they lost in the appellate court, so they're done.
So really all they have to do is tell you about it in fine print, and then they can do anything they want.
Well, you are going to pay a spread. Yeah, correct. That's what the SEC wanted, but you're not going to get that disclosure. So you are going to pay a spread when you buy or sell an ETF, and if it's 1 to 3 cents, it's probably okay. But if it's 15, 18, 30, 32%, you're getting fleeced.
But don't you, as a seasoned investor, put in a price of what you want to pay and let them come to you, and during the next few days it fluctuates, and sooner or later they hit you anyway, right?
Well, but you're still going to pay a premium, so I wouldn't do a GTC. We actually do ETF management, and we do step-out trades with the ETF firms because we have too much volume.
Right.
But my comments on ETFs make me incredibly unpopular because I'm exposing, the dark secrets of how everybody's really making money. Let me give you a better example. So my son-in-law works for a big prestigious firm with a bull as their symbol. And if you go to him, he's going to say, well, I'm not going to charge you a fee. He's a nice guy. He actually ran into $2 billion. He's very successful. But he puts everybody in iShares, and he gets a 30 basis point kickback. Okay?
Yeah.
I've been very critical of the ETF kickbacks, but there are ETFs like Spiders and Vanguard that don't have the kickbacks. And, my daughter works for Morgan Stanley in a big office. And, Vanguard got kicked out because they wouldn't pay the kickback, okay? So sometimes the brokerage firms share the kickback with the financial advisors, other times they don't. But, some financial advisors are just minions to gather assets so the firms can fleece everybody under the table. And it's disgusting, and it's sad, and it just shows what's happened to Wall Street. But that is why you have zero commissions now, is because they're making money on the spread. You've always had spreads on Wall Street and bonds, okay? And what they've done is they've taken the spreads that you used to pay in the bond market, and they figured out how to get bigger spreads on stocks via ETFs.
Cool. So we're I only got 15 seconds now. Can you stick around one more time? This is unusual, but you're so interesting. Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay, great. So we're going to stop for a break. Louis Navalier, you're going to get a bonus. He's going to be on longer than he ever usually is, and you probably make a little money, so stick around.
Each week in his live video market and economy update offered to his inner circle, Dan Frischberg delivers the in-depth, professional version of his famous Market X-ray report, live and interactive. Now that means you get to ask all the questions you want. And if you can't make the live meeting, you can watch the report on demand. Then email your questions in, and Dan will email the answers back or include them in the next live report. Week in and week out, Dan brings you the ideas and specific stock picks from his friends, the people you see on TV and read about in the papers. You'll see what they're buying, how they're hedging, and when they're taking money off the table. At last, you'll get to see how the insiders negotiate the institutional macro bonds that billionaires on Wall Street rely on, the ones almost everyone else never even heard of. When you become an Inner Circle member, Dan will share with you his lifetime of experience and guide you to the best teachers, the best stock pickers, the best option strategists. And you'll be invited to exclusive working vacations in beautiful locations for the Inner Circle only, where you'll rub elbows with some of the most famous investors on Wall Street. So, how do you value the lifetime of skill and experience of a top investor on a mission to share it all with you and help you become one of the few winners? If you've been listening to Dan for a few years, he's likely already made you tons of money, or even more important, saved you from losing a fortune. Now, there are limits to the capacity of the online video sessions, but right now, for a limited time, Dan's offering you the position of charter subscriber, get this, for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day. For all the info or to subscribe, just simply click on themoneyman.com, themoneyman.com.
You're tuned in to the MoneyMan Report with your host, TV and radio money man, Dan Frischberg. For more information about everything we're talking about, go to themoneyman.com right now. That's themoneyman.com.
We're back with Louis Navalier. This is your bonus segment because he's a busy guy and he's going to stick around with you for a few more minutes. Louis, let's talk about that manipulation that you're talking about there in terms of how the brokers, and of course, they're attracting now lots and lots of young people who are staying home. Instead of gambling on sports, now they're investing. And so they really don't know that much about what they're doing. And just explain the mechanics of this spreads and these discount brokers and the free commissions.
Well, the markets are decimalized today. And an algorithm just goes on order flow. So the goal, if you're trying to manipulate the market, is just to spike the order flow somehow. So whether you do that with like the Nikola CEO who says, I'm going to beat Ford and destroy the F-150, I've got better technology than Tesla, while he was hyping everything, he was selling his stock. He was like Bill Ackman. Remember Bill Ackman went on CNBC?
Yes.
Told everybody the world was ending and Hilton would be zero. And then he walks out and does the opposite. Makes $2 billion. So while that Nikola guy was hyping the stock to the same valuation of Ford, but he hasn't sold a vehicle yet, he also cashed the stock out and bought the most expensive home in Utah. So clearly the guy's a scum and he uses it as a pump and dump. And he just gets naive investors to believe in his fuel cell technology, which he will, of course, will not show. Okay.
Now that thing has become one of the real stylish investments among the younger people, and everybody I have a few of them who come by and they take lessons and stuff from me on some things, and they love that company. And there are a lot of services that are built basically on that Nikola stock. They love it. Explain.
They're going to lose all their money, okay? Because he's a scam artist, okay? And I'm not anti-electric vehicle. I have electric vehicle. I'm out here with the Tesla plant, the Gigafactory near me. I will tell you that all my friends at Tesla work on the Powerwall side, okay? They're building power because the auto sales have collapsed for the last 3 quarters. And see, no one talks about that. All of Tesla's sales were in Europe, and now Europe just collapsed. Renault's always beating them. Volkswagen's beating them, and so the smart people I know at Tesla all work on Powerwalls. And what a Powerwall is in Northern California, they shut off your power in September, October during fire season because they don't want to be liable for your home. So you're not going to have power for 4 to 6 days. Now, you cannot get a Kohler or Generac generator in California because it's CO2 and you destroy the atmosphere. So what they do, you have to get a Powerwall. And Generac sells them, Tesla makes them, and they'll run your house. And of course, you have to have solar now in California. It's mandated. So The Powerwall business is booming. I have solar companies that make the inverters that do all the switching, and one's Israeli, one's in Mountain View. But I'm not anti-technology. I'm just want people to know that, you might not want to pay the premium these companies trade at. And I'm not anti-Tesla, but I would not buy the stock at this valuation.
But the story on Nikola is that they are they've got leased deals with gigantic companies who are buying more and more of these trucks. They haven't been delivered yet, but they're buying them. And the only thing stopping them is having the power stations with nitrogen or whatever it is they're going to do on the freeway. What's wrong with the deal? Why do you say they're all going to lose money?
Well, let me give you a better example. Okay.
Yeah.
A commercial truck can carry 80,000 pounds, including its weight. So when you make an electric truck, whether you're using fuel cells or the lithium batteries that Tesla wants to do, okay? That weighs about 20,000 pounds. So guess what? You can't carry what the diesel trucks can carry. And guess how truckers make money, okay? By the load, okay? The second thing is the infrastructure's not there, okay? So I'm not anti-technology. It's not going to happen. What the guy did, he said on June 29th, I'll take deposits on my truck. Now he's got to compete with Rivian, who is of course backed by Amazon. He's got to compete with Hummer, who's backed by GM. Okay, he's going to have to compete with the Tesla Cybertruck eventually. Okay, and Ford, who makes the Mach-E and the F-150 will be electric. Ford just did a huge deal with Volkswagen. Again, Volkswagen makes more electric vehicles than Tesla now. Okay. Now, people don't know because it's Audi, it's Volkswagen, it's Porsche, and they're going to have 25 models here soon. So what's happening is Wall Street, because he's taking deposits, Wall Street will lend him money because they think he has orders, just like Tesla says they have all these orders for the Cybertruck. But the other problem is there's no batteries to do all this stuff. So the battery makers are CTAL in China, the LG Chem, Korea, and Panasonic and Samsung. Guess what? They've had to shut plants down, even with falling sales, because there's no batteries. Okay, so it's a fantasy. I'm sure they're going to boost it. The LG Chem plant in Poland, they're going to try to triple it. Let me explain how bad the logistics are. So the Mach-E is the first real Tesla killer. That's made in Mexico. You know where they get the batteries? Poland. So they got to ship a 1,500, 1,300 pound battery pack from Poland on a boat to Mexico. And initially Ford's going to be selling them all in Europe because there's more demand in Europe for this stuff. Okay? I mean, just the logistics. Obviously that's moving it from Poland to Mexico back to Europe is ridiculous. There's no plants. I have friends there. Okay? People don't know that Panasonic and Tesla are getting divorced. Panasonic is running away with Toyota, okay? They're going to be building plants, but no one can do this. So, because there's no batteries. The Jaguar I-Pace plant was closed. The Audi E plant was closed. No batteries. Tesla tried to reopen in China. Then they had to close because of parts problems.
You're saving a lot of people a lot of money because this is one of the most popular stocks among the day traders and among the new kids. Louis Navalier, I wish I could keep you on all day, but I'm going to run out of time in just about 5 seconds. Let's tell people how to get more information about your work and where's your portfolio grader and all that.
Just go to Navalier.com. We have our free stock graders. We have a free market commentary called Market Mail. Sign up, Navalier.com, and then NavalierGrowth.com is my newsletter site.
NavalierGrowth.com is the newsletter site. Louis, thank you so much. Very, very interesting. Really good. All right, thank you. See you next time.
You've been listening to the sound of your money growing. This has been the MoneyMan Report with your host, radio and TV money man Dan Frischberg. Hear it again every weekday morning here on Bradenton's WWPR, broadcasting worldwide. It's Better Living Radio.